What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Alhodine Pedidal. Today I'm going to show you the right time to harvest your bananas. Alright, so this is a pretty common question amongst gardeners. It's when to harvest your bananas. This tree in particular, or this plant, I can say was somewhat overwintered. It went semi-dormant in the winter after already producing a rack. So I wouldn't say it's a time thing as much as an appearance thing. Here we have some of these top bananas are just starting to yellow, and that is the perfect time to harvest. Alright, so I've showed you in a few different videos on how to harvest, but we'll go ahead and show you that right now since we're ready here. To be honest, banana plants are pretty easy to cut through. I may be able to just get away with using my knife here. I've already cut off the flower quite a while ago, and yeah, so since we're ready, this is a great vantage. Usually, you know, you'd have to be high up and worry about the bananas dropping, but they are heavier than they seem. With the buoyancy of this plant, it seems pretty light right now, but one thing you want to do is make sure you have a good grip and just go ahead and give it a good cut right there, and that is a pretty good hand of bananas. That's a nice rack. I'm gonna call that about 35 pounds maybe. But yeah, what I was doing was harvesting some of the green ones and making little plantain chips. These are Orinoco, so they're not like your typical Cavendish, but like any banana, but especially these bananas, you can eat them either as a plantain or as, you know, your typical dessert banana. These are not technically ready until they're almost black. So they're still pretty firm, even though they look ripe, but this is a good ripening off point. And what I'm going to do from here, if you want them to ripen quicker, you can cut off each hand of the rack, put them on the counter, and they'll definitely ripen a lot quicker. I have quite a bit here, and I don't need them to ripen right away. But what I'm going to do is just tie them up and hang them for a while, and they'll slowly start to yellow up. Alright, as far as the mother tree here goes, if you guys don't know, once it serves its purpose, it's going to die. And I was skeptical of this, and I've seen it firsthand myself. I had one in the back that I didn't cut down, and it sure enough did die. But what I'm going to do is cut it down, and I'm going to feed some of these leaves to the goats, and I'm going to repurpose it and chop it all up and feed it back to either this bunch, or I have an ice cream banana in the back that I'm starting pretty young, so it'd be nice to feed it some of this banana too. Alright, so like I said, as far as the leaves, they're going to go to the goats. They love them. Also, on a side note, when you're mulching with bananas, you want to cut them up really fine. If you leave big old clumps there, you're going to get all kinds of weird rots and attract strange insects and stuff, especially if you're remulching into your bananas. Once I dig this down, I'm going to show you guys a little extra tip too that'll help deter some of these insects that pass along disease and stuff. So yeah, I'll show you guys that in a minute. Alright, so I don't think the Bowie knife's going to cut it for taking down the mother. Looks like it won't be hitting the camera when it falls. But yeah, they're just as easy to cut. It's just a thicker diameter here. I don't want to hurt any of the other stalks, so wow, that's juicy. Just being mindful of the other stalks here. Fairly close to the ground here. without disrupting the other bananas. What I meant about making sure it's fine, you don't want to throw a whole clump back into the mulch. You want to break it up. Alright, now I want to show you guys my little trick. Basically, we have this kind of topped off here, but we're going to dig into it. And what's going to happen is, especially since we just cut it, it's going to pool up with all the liquid. So it'll attract bugs. They'll come in there and they'll drown. So it's awesome. All right, so again, we're just gonna kind of cut into that. So if you guys can see that, that's a little juicy, already accumulating a little moisture. In a few hours, that's gonna pool up. And so any insects that wanna bombard, that could potentially pass along disease, will go in there and drown. All right guys, so from here, I'm gonna take the leaves, feed them to the goats. I could also chop them up and use them as mulch as well. The stalk, I'm gonna chop up real thin and fine, and I'm gonna go ahead and mulch my ice cream banana I have out back. And the rack, I'm just gonna tie it up, leave it probably in my carport, somewhere shady where it won't get burnt. And yeah, we'll be good to go. All right guys, so that wraps up today's video. Please comment below if you have any questions or additional input. Also consider subscribing if you haven't by now. I do a lot of videos of this nature, as well as tutorials, and cover my goats and chickens. All right guys, well that's gonna do it for today's video. Hopefully you thought it was helpful. As always, thanks for tuning in.